Hi guys, it's William. Welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to share another amazing recipe with you today. I'm going to show you how to make my very famous babka. This is an amazing brioche that I discovered in New York a few months ago, and I shared it with you on my French YouTube channel and people went crazy over it. It is one of my most popular recipes from 2019, and I'm finally going to share it with you in English in this channel, and it's amazing, so you should definitely try it out. It's super fluffy, full of chocolate and hazelnut, one of my favorite flavors for babka, so let's get right into it with the brioche dough. So for a brioche dough, it's going to be a pretty basic dough actually. We are going to start off by proofing our yeast, and I'm going to use a combination of milk and water, which are lukewarm, so almost warm but not too hot so that you don't burn yourself. And then I'm going to add a bit of sugar and then my instant yeast, and I'm going to let that rest for about 5 minutes or until the mixture becomes very weird and full of bubbles. That means that your yeast are ready to grow and make an amazing brioche. Perfect, now let's work on our dry ingredients, and of course I'm using some all-purpose flour. You can definitely use some bread flour in this recipe as well, it will be amazing. And then I'm gonna add the rest of my sugar as well as a large pinch of salt. It's very important to use salt in all of your baking recipes. And I'm just going to whisk that quickly so that the salt is well mixed in the flour. Great, now I'm going to add 2 large eggs and then my vanilla extract as well as my melted butter for extra richness. Finally, we are going to add our yeast preparation. As you can see, it's looking fabulous and very bubbly. We are then going to mix everything up with the spatula, and then I'm going to move on with my hands, which are your best tools in the kitchen. You can definitely use a KitchenAid if you have one. I didn't when I filmed this video in New York, so that's why I'm using my hands, and it's gonna work very well, as you will see. And I'm basically going to knead my dough for about 5 to 8 minutes with my hands, kneading constantly. Once that you have a beautiful dough that is not sticky at all, but just very glossy and beautiful, as you can see, we are going to let it rest at room temperature, which is about like 20 or 25 degrees Celsius best, for about an hour or two until it doubles in size, and then we can work on the chocolate filling. Now for a beautiful chocolate filling, I'm of course going to use some chocolate, which is here some bittersweet chocolate. You can definitely use some semi-sweet as well. And I'm going to chop it fine to make it easier to melt it in the microwave. Make sure that you don't burn your chocolate, so melt it at a very low power. Then we can work on the hazelnut, of course, which I'm going to chop as well, pretty finely, just to make sure that we don't have too much big pieces, and we can then work on the butter. Now I'm going to beat quickly my room temperature butter with some white sugar. I'm just going to beat this up with my beaters, as you can see, and then we will add some cocoa powder to intensify the cocoa flavor in this recipe. And finally, we'll be able to add the chocolate as well as the hazelnuts, and our spread will be ready. As you can see, I'm using some salt as well, just to balance out the sweetness in the recipe. Amazing, our filling is ready. It's now time to work on the dough. As you can see, my dough has risen quite a bit. It's looking huge and fabulous. It is time to work it out on our floured surface. I'm basically going to roll it out using a glass here because I didn't have any rolling pin, but please use one if you have one. And I'm going to roll it out into a huge rectangle, so as thin as possible basically, and make sure that you have extra space on your counter. Okay, I think this is pretty big enough. So now we are going to spread our beautiful chocolate mixture onto our dough, and then we can roll it out. As you can see, I'm rolling my dough as if I were making some beautiful cinnamon rolls, but this is babka, but pretty much the same technique. Now I'm going to cut the ends of a roll which have less chocolate, and I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise as well as in half to make 2 babkas today. You can make one huge babka with this recipe, but I'd rather make 2 regular sized ones. And you will see I'm going to make 2 different patterns. I'm going to create a beautiful braid that I'm going to put then in my cake pan, and I'm using like a very basic cake pan here. But if you don't have any, you can also make a circle, as I've done as well, with the same braid, and it works also very well and it looks amazing. Great, almost time to bake our babkas, and I'm going to let them rest for about 45 minutes to an hour at room temperature once again, covered just to make sure that there's no dust on there, and they are going to rise up a bit as well. It is finally time to bake our babkas, and I'm going to put them in my preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius, that's 350 in Fahrenheit, and I'm going to bake them for about 25 minutes or until they look almost ready, and then we are going to take them out of the oven, and I'm going to put on a beautiful syrup, which is a mixture of sugar and water that I just melted in the microwave. And I'm going to brush the top of my babka with this beautiful syrup. This is going to create the moistest babka ever. And then once it is well covered in syrup, you're going to put it again in the oven for 5 minutes or until perfectly baked. And once again, when you take it out, please put more syrup as well, just to make sure that it stays very moist. And there you go, this is my beautiful recipe for chocolate and hazelnut babka, as the one in New York in Braid's Bakery, for example, which is my favorite and a classic around Union Square. If you don't want to put chocolate in there, you can definitely use just a simple cinnamon sugar, for example, as if you were making cinnamon rolls. This works as well, or anything in there really. Put whatever you want. Some jam will be great as well, since the brioche dough is amazing. So you can find the entire list of ingredients in the description box down below this video, as well as my social media, so Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please subscribe to this channel and leave me a beautiful comment and a like, and I will be very happy to see you soon for another amazing recipe. Bye!